Oh my gosh, I'm always so nervous every time I cut up a sourdough. Never know what you're gonna find inside. Hello and welcome. Today I will show you how to make sourdough bread. So we will see how to start with a sourdough starter. Hopefully this will zoom in properly. And turn it into a beautiful bread. I can't wait to show you this recipe, and I hope that you'll try it at home soon. So here is my sourdough starter. I know my recipe takes about 15 ounces, which I think is a cup and a half. I keep 2 ounces of the starter every week, and I refeed it with 2 ounces of flour and 2 ounces of water, so I get 6 ounces. And then I feed it the day before, at least 12 hours before, so that means I'm going to have 18 ounces. So I take 15 for my recipe, and I have 3 more left to feed it again and then put it in the fridge for the next week. So as you see here, it's been on the counter for about 24 hours, and you can see all the nice little, hopefully you can see it up close. It's all nice and bubbly, and you definitely get a smell. If you can spot here, there's like a liquid. I'm going to take just a little spoon so you can kind of see it. This little liquid, that is hooch. Yeah, that's like the actual hooch thing that you hear about. It is fermented alcohol, the liquid that separates from the sourdough, because the sourdough eats the flour, and sometimes there's enough liquid that gets released. You don't have to get rid of that. You can just mix it back in. It's a very small amount of alcohol. It's really not something that you can make a cocktail with. But here you see my sourdough mixed up a little bit. Sometimes it's a bit thicker. This one is kind of liquid. I added a little bit more water. And we will make the recipe, and you will see how we use it in a few moments. Alright, so I'm about to prepare the recipe for the dough bread. I have all my ingredients out here. First thing we're going to do is put some flour, and our 1 cup of flour. From the flour we're going to put in the entire recipe in the bowl right away. Then we're going to put in some sugar, salt, and yeast to start. Alright, so I have my flour, my sugar, my salt, and my dry yeast all mixed up in the mixer. Now I'm going to add some milk and some butter that I added to my warm milk. You want your milk to be between 100 and 110 Fahrenheit, but not any warmer because you could kill the yeast. Mine is a different color because I put some herbs and spices in it, which is mostly turmeric, which will be related to another post on a golden paste. So that has health benefits. So what we're going to do now is just pour this in and mix it up a little bit. Obviously for bread we're using our dough hook. Now that we've mixed up the flour and the yeast with a bit of warm liquid, now I will add my sourdough. Now we are going to mix it up a bit. Alright. Next is we're going to add the remaining flour to get our bread dough. The recipe I use says to keep adding about 3 cups and 3/4. I've always put less. Kind of use your judgment if you've made dough. You don't want it to get too dry. You don't want it to be too wet, but you just kind of get it at the right consistency. I'll do it a little bit for you, and then we'll see what the result is. I start off by adding 2 cups right away. Mix it, and then we'll see what happens. So here I've actually put in 2.5 cups of flour extra after the initial first cup, and I'm happy with this consistency. I'm actually going to be putting about 1.25 cups less than the recipe. So really just go with the eye, test it, and see how you feel about it. Now we're going to leave it in the mixer for a few minutes to let it get kneaded properly with the knead hook. Our dough has been kneading for some time. As you can see, the dough has formed a ball right around the hook. Now it's ready for the first rise. We'll remove the hook, Just lightly oil your bowl. I put a little bit of olive oil, and I use a dish towel, a paper towel, just to really rub all the sides. Take your dough, make a ball. Turn it around a little bit in the bowl, so you kind of get it all covered with olive oil as well. And then I'm going to leave that covered with a humid dishcloth in a warm place and let it rise until it doubles in size, about an hour. So I will see you a little bit later. So it's been about 2 hours. Depends on the humidity of the day, the temperature of the season. Every time is different. But we have doubled in size. So the next step is to quickly punch down the dough. Just a little bit. And just let it rest for 15 minutes before we shape. So our dough has been resting for 15 minutes. Now we are ready to shape it. We are going to make 2 loaves out of this bread. Let me just place the baking sheet over here for you to see. Now, you can shape it whichever way you like. Usually I make either a round bread or a like a bit more like a longer shape. To keep it more smooth on top and have a fun texture, I like to just kind of work around and bend it inside. It's kind of ripping today, so I'm not even sure if I put too much flour. But you just kind of want to have a clean edge on top. So I'm going to keep shaping it like this until I'm happy with the look. I'm going to make them oblong today. So I'll just put one here. Find that it's easier to cut even slices when I do like more of an oblong rectangular shape. So it's not perfect or anything, but it makes it look even more rustic. It's not normally this yellow. I used golden milk. You'll see the recipe in the blog post. And we will leave that again to rise, covered with a humid cloth for about an hour to rise again, double the size. Alright, it's been about an hour and I believe the bread has about doubled in size now. We are ready to bake. The oven has been preheating at 375 degrees Fahrenheit. I will just make a couple of slashes on the bread before putting them in the oven. I just take a sharp knife and I like to do a deep, nice cut. We'll put 3 in this one. And we will bake this bread, I think, for about 30-35 minutes. You want to cook it until a thermometer inserted into the middle of the bread reads a temperature of 210 Fahrenheit. That's when you know your bread is ready. So let's put them in the oven and I will show you how it looks when it comes out. Alright, we are taking the breads out of the oven. And here we go. The breads are at a temperature of 210 Fahrenheit. Now we will remove them from the pan. And leave them on the counter. This is one of the most important steps of the entire process. You must wait 1 hour before cutting into them so they finish cooking inside. Really hard, so tempting, but wait 1 hour. To me, this is the ultimate satisfaction in the kitchen, making bread, making something so basic, so nutritious, something that keeps us alive, that people have been doing for thousands of years. And I wish you could smell the kitchen right now. It just smells so amazing. So we have finished cooking this bread, and it has been resting for 1 hour on the kitchen counter. Very important to leave it resting. It finishes the cooking inside and helps to release some of the humidity that's trapped in the bread. So we are ready for the reveal. Oh my gosh, I'm always so nervous every time I cut up a sourdough. Never know what you're gonna find inside. So yeah, this recipe makes 2 loaves, and like you saw in the video, I made it with a golden milk, which is a milk made with a turmeric paste. So normally you could just use plain milk and you'll get a regular white bread, but mine will be yellow and will have a turmeric flavor to it. Let's look inside. See? This is a recipe that comes with yeast on top of the sourdough. It's not the traditional very, very long rising periods, but you just put a little bit of yeast, regular baking yeast, and you put in quite a bit of the sourdough starter, and you still get a lovely sourdough taste. And as you can see, you do get a few little bubbles and a nice dense bread meat. So let's slice a couple of more slices and to see what it looks like inside. It's beautiful and crunchy on the outside. Sourdoughs are really chewy and elastic the first 24 hours after they're baked, and then they take more of a regular bread texture on the inside. So as you can see, there are the occasional holes from the sourdough bread, and let's give it a taste test. I can't wait to see how it tastes. I've never made this one with turmeric before. Very crispy, very crusty, very nice. You can see beautiful bread, pulls apart nicely, very light, very, very airy, and I just realized I am talking with my mouth full. I gotta have one more bite. It's very nice with the turmeric flavor. Really enjoy this bread, very happy with how it turned out, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments section below if you've made sourdough bread. Maybe you have your own starter. Do you have any tips? I would love to hear from you. And make sure to subscribe to my channel so you can see any new video that I post, as well as all the recipes that you will find on my blog at CulturEatz.com. I will also include a link to this recipe on the blog. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a wonderful day.